Hope everybody's doing well. Glad to be back. Today we're going to be talking about mob guys and their nicknames, and some of where they came from, the nicknames, how they derived these names. So I'm gonna go from Chicago to New York, Detroit, KC. I'm gonna bounce Philadelphia. I'm gonna bounce all over the place. And I'm gonna try to start from like some of the older guys, and move up to the newer, like up to date, I guess you can say, kind of people. Um, One of the older guys I'll talk about, his name is Jake Guzik. He was a big shot outfit guy in Chicago back in the 20s, 30s, 40s, until he passed away. And they used to call him Greasy Thumb. Greasy Thumb Guzik. The reason why they call him Greasy Thumb is because when Jake was counting money, when you count a lot of money, tons of money, your thumbs get all like full of like the ink from the dollar bills. So that's how his thumbs used to get all black from going through so much cash. That's why they used to call him Greasy Thumb. And Guzik, to let you know, he ran the Loop in Chicago, and his right-hand man, well, his protege, so to speak, was Gus Alex, who happens to be Greek. And Gussie Alex ran the political machine back then, big time. And his nickname was Slim, even though he wasn't slim. He was a big guy, muscular, big guy. So they called him Slim as a joke, meaning, because he was big, they called him skinny or slim, one of the two. So that's collected around the Chicago area. Another Chicago guy from back in the day was Joey Lombardo. They used to call him Joey the Clown. The reason why they call him Joey the Clown is because he loved to clown around. And he's a joke man, offer jokes, act stupid. Even his face, his facial expressions, like when he got busted from the cops, if you look at one of his mug shots, he's smiling. He's got a smile from ear to ear. He looks like a clown. He looks silly. So that's how he got that nickname. I'm trying to think of another Chicago guy. Another Chicago guy was John DeFronzo. Now, John DeFronzo was more of a current, up-to-date boss in Chicago, one of the few that are still around. There's maybe 20, 30 made guys in Chicago right now. Things have diminished a lot ever since the Frank Calabrese family secrets trial. But DeFronzo used to call him Nonos. And the reason why he got that nickname, Nonos, is because when during a burglary, he was going through a window, and the window smashed, and it slashed his nose, a part of his nose off. That's how he got the name No Nose, because he missed a part of his nose, which I think is pretty funny. Another guy was from, now we're going to like the New York area, but old time guys. His name is Harry Mayone. He was part of Murder Inc. with Albert and Anastasia. And they used to call him Happy Mayone. And not really because he was happy, because he was never happy. Man was the most miserable fuck around. He was never in a good mood, always angry. And the only time he was ever happy is when you talk about murder. That's when he was in a good mood. Just to tell you what a psycho this guy was. If we're going to go to like the New York area, for example, guys that are a little more up to date, like Tommy Bellotti. Tommy Bellotti was the underboss, not underboss, sorry. Yes, he wasn't the boss, underboss before Sammy. He was the underboss of the Gambino family under Paul Castellano. And nobody really liked Bellotti too much. They thought of him as a little, he was a short guy, boxer type guy. They used to call him the Toupee because Bellotti wore a toupee. But he never really told to his face, but that was his nickname, the Toupee, specifically. And they whacked him with Paul Castellano in December 16th, 1985, 84, sorry, outside of Spark Steakhouse. But that's what Bellotti was. The other guy from New York we could talk about is in the same family, Gambino, would be Angelo Ruggiero. Angelo Ruggiero was a captain under John Gotti in the early '80s, '90s, before he passed away. They used to call him Quack Quack, and one because he walked like a duck because he was so fat and so big. That was one reason, but the main reason why, and John Gotti actually gave him the nickname Quack Quack because he talked too much on the phone. He was always on the phone. And FBI is listening to everything he freaking said. And he got busted big time because of that reason, because of his big mouth. Another New York guy we can talk about from a different family, which is the Lucchese family, who was a boss. His name was Anthony Castle. They used to call him Gas Pipe. The reason why they called him Gas Pipe is because his father and him used to use pipes, gas pipes, to beat guys up. So that's how he got that nickname, Gas Pipe. Again, nobody said it to his name, his face rather, sorry. Another very important man in the New York families, the Genovese family, was Vincent Gigante, who was a boss. They called him the Chin. Like nobody ever said his name on the phone. When they talked about him, they pointed to their chin. But nobody really knows how he's got his nickname. The real reason why he got that name is not because of the wise guys. Wise guys didn't give him that name. His grandmother used to call him because Vincent is Vincenzo, and that some of the times we call somebody Vincent like Chinzo. So Chinzo Chin. That's how he really got his nickname. He didn't get it from the wise guys. Most people don't even know that. Another guy, which is a very interesting character, from back again in the Chicago area. His name was Israel Ice Pick Willie Alderman. Now, it doesn't take much, brains to figure out why he got that nickname, because he used to kill people with an ice pick. That was his preferred choice weapon. Not a gun, not a knife, an ice pick. Pretty sick bastard. Another Chicago guy, big shot, Anthony Accardo. Now, I used to call Anthony two different nicknames, either Joe Batters or Big Tuna. Now, the nickname Big Tuna came because there's a picture of him after he went fishing, and he's holding a big, huge tuna in his hand. That's how he got that nickname, Big Tuna. That's from the wise guys. The other nickname, also from the wise guys, they call him Joe Batters, because when Anthony was coming up in the outfit, he used to use a bat to beat guys up with. That was his preferred, weapon of choice. That's how he got his nickname. Another interesting character, and this guy's from the Rhode Island faction, who's now still functioning, I think, as one of the bosses. His name is Louie Luigi Baby Shax Monocchio. Now, Baby Shax, reason why he got that name, one, because supposedly he had a baby face, when he was a younger guy coming up in the mob. And the other one was because Shax he was a womanizer. He would shack up with a different girl every week. So, Baby Shax. So, shacking up with women. That's how he got that one. Another character from the New York family, I believe it's, I remember Columbo, I believe so, Joey Carner. Joey Carner and his father were both called, his father was called Lollipops, and he was called Junior Lollipops. The reason why they got that nickname is because his father, Joe Sr., ran a lollipop store, sold lollipops out of a restaurant, actually. And the restaurant was called Lollies in Brooklyn, hence Lollipop. The other guys, let me see what else I wrote here from some other characters. Oh, Joe Adonis. Now, Joe Adonis was an old school guy who came up with Genovese, Lucky Luciano, all those guys. His real name is Giuseppe Dotto. The reason why they call him Joe Adonis, because the name Adonis is a Greek name, which Adonis means you're really handsome. And Giuseppe was a good-looking man. So that's how he got the name Joe Adonis. Now we go to Kansas City now. Kansas City, we had a boss. His name was Frank Balestieri. Now, back in those days when Balestieri was boss, bombs were very popular. They used to put bombs in the cars and stuff. And Frank Balestieri, sorry, is one. They used to call him the Mad Bomber because that was his preference was using bombs to get rid of people. Now we go back to New York again, back to around the Gallo days, Joey Gallo's crew and President Street. There was one of the crew guys. There was a lot of interesting characters in that crew. His name was Frankie Iliano. Frankie Iliano, they used to call him Punchy. The reason why they called him Punchy, because Frank was good with his fists. He was a good boxer. So, because he knew how to punch people. So that's how he got the name Punchy. Then there was Armando. Armando, they called him Mondo the Midget. Reason why they called him Mondo the Midget, because he was a midget. He was a short little small guy. They used to run a club on President Street in Brooklyn. And Joey Gallo once bought a lion. Literally, bought a lion. Baby lion. And he brought the baby lion to the restaurant, to the club rather, that Joey had, that Armando had. And they kept the lion in the basement. And anybody who didn't make payments, they used to bring them down there and scare the shit out of them. That they don't feed them to the lions. And Armando the midget, was responsible to take care of the lion. They used to throw down pieces of meat so the lion can eat. Pretty nuts. We go back to Chicago now, which is an interesting guy because he was involved with Jimmy Hoffa. His name is Salvatore Bergoglio. They used to call him Sally Bugs. And I believe he was responsible actually for the murder of Jimmy Hoffa. They used to call him Sally Bugs, because Sally Bugs wore very big wide glasses, and making his eyes look like a bug. That's how I got the name Sally Bugs. Now we go back to New York again with another interesting guy. His name is Vinnie Baciano. Vinnie Baciano, who's doing life at the moment. They used to call him Vinnie Gorgeous. Yes, he was a good-looking guy, and he dressed really classy. But the real reason why he got the name Vinnie Gorgeous is because he owned a beauty parlor, a beauty salon in the Bronx called Gorgeous. That's how he got that nickname. Another guy that I think everybody knows and probably heard him a million fucking times already, John Gotti. John Gotti, they called the Teflon Don. That's before he got pinched. When he finally got, after his third trial. The reason why they called him Teflon Don, because nothing ever stuck to him. Because he had 3 trials he went on, and then he get convicted. So nothing ever stuck to him until the last trial, obviously, when they got him for good, finally, after Sammy Gravano's testimony. So these are some of the names I gathered together to share with you guys. Wise guys always have interesting names. You know, whether they're Greek, Italian, Albanian, doesn't matter. They all have interesting freaking names. And I'll dig up some more, and next time I come on board, I'll give you some more interesting stories about how these wise guys get their names. I hope you enjoy the show. Please come back again, subscribe, like, share, comment, do whatever works for you. Thank you.